Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys another old school album review for this discography that I'm still covering. And as you can see below the title, today we're going to be looking into Point of Entry by Judas Priest. This is their, I believe, seventh album released in 1981. And right off the bat, let's just go into the album artwork. Now with this album, this there's two different pieces of artwork. The one version is, I guess, the original version, which is has like some sort of like space thing, like a spaceship, and that's sort of like the original version, or it's called as the European version. And this version that I have right here that was passed down from my dad has like some deserts, and apparently it's like a road heading towards the point of entry logo. But if you look really closely right here, you can see that this is sort of like paper or something, which I never even knew that going into it. But honestly, both of those are pretty bland, to be honest. And this album, Point of Entry, coming off their previous album, British Steel. I mean, this album is the most underlooked like Judas Priest album in their entire discography, and for good reasons. I mean, let's talk about like the previous album that we covered yesterday, British Steel. Now, this was their most commercial success to date. Like Judas Priest were at the height of their careers. We're in the 80s right now. And I feel like they got too comfortable with that going down this route after like the success of British Steel. I mean, I feel like with British Steel, I mean, Judas Priest got a bit of that commercial success, and I feel like they kind of went down that road with the Point of Entry. I mean, even the band, it was said that they recorded like this on like some sort of like island or something. And I feel like the band said that it feels like a more relaxed and much more environment. And this definitely really shows on this album. I mean, musically, and I know a lot of Judas Priest fans are going to get butthurt when I say this. I mean, this is pretty much musically, there's nothing really that impressive on here. I mean, it feels like it's sort of like the same formula a little bit. I mean, some of the songs on here are okay, but I feel like when they take like a backseat and get too comfortable, it definitely shows. I mean, production-wise, it's pretty much same thing as British Steel. I mean, it's very heavy and commercial. It's nothing really much to say about that, to be honest. It's pretty much the same thing, to be honest. Yes, I keep repeating myself. Without further ado, let's just dive into this track by track. Album opens up with Heading Out to the Highway, and right off the bat, this is actually one of the highlights on this album. I feel like this song it gives you hope. This is actually one of the better songs on here. It's a really good chorus, and I really like the good like melodic section with like the guitars and stuff. It's actually a good way to start this album, to believe it or not. Then we go into Don't Go, and oh my god, this is where we go from here. I mean, I don't really like the start of the song. It feels like it kind of has a bit of a rocky start, and from there it's almost kind of like a filler, which is one of the problems I have with this album. I feel like there's too much filler on here. I mean, this album is fairly short. Like most of these songs are like three and a half, 4 minutes, so it's not too long. It just feels like there's a lot of filler on here. But anyway, moving on to next on the album is Hard Rockin', and this is actually one of the better songs, and it sort of uses that same formula that they use on here, and has a very memorable chorus on there. And I think another one of the better songs on here, like I said. Turning Circles, another filler, but it's honestly, I think it's one of the better songs, but it's okay, but I feel like it doesn't really like show much, but it's an okay song. Then we go into Desert Plains, which I honestly think this is the best song on here. And musically, it reminds me of something from what they did in the 1970s Priest, like something from like Sad Wings of Destiny. And it feels like it, but it also uses kind of this formula on this album. It almost feels a little bit different, but it's a very dynamic song. It has some very good dynamics, and it's really good. But I think after this, I feel like you might as well just turn this album off, because the rest of this is pretty much filler on here. Here, Solar Angels, it's one of the better fillers, but still filler. Next song, You Say Yes, one of the more okay songs on here, but and it just has a very catchy chorus. chorus in there. You just can't help it, but just the chorus is just really catchy. All the Way, another filler. Troubleshooter, another filler. Last song on here is On the Run, which is it's an okay song, I'll say, but it feels like it's too repetitive at times. And yeah, I mean, like I said, this album isn't even that long. Like all the songs are like 3.5, 4 minutes so long. Like the longest song on here is like 4.5, which would be Desert Plains, which is like I said, the best song on here. Same thing with Heading Out on the Highway and Hot Rockin'. But the overall point of entry, I mean, it's just all filler, but with catchy choruses, just like the same formula, just repeated throughout this whole album. And that's just the one thing which I know a lot of people don't talk about this album, and I kind of understand why. It's just there's nothing really much to offer on here. I mean, like some of the songs are good, but I feel like after a while it kind of like drags on. You're just like, yeah, I'm done. Now, if I were to give this a score, I'd probably give this a 6 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend listening to this album. It's just boring unless you like sort of like the same like rock formula. It's just catchy chorus, good verses, all that stuff. But I feel like after this, with like Screaming for Vengeance, they would kind of get back on track. But yeah, that's my review of Point of Entry, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the album. I'm interested in what you guys have to say. And I'll see you all in the next video. And keep it metal.